Hi, this is Micornus, Phokane, the leader, the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum. I continue today with the tips for leadership for young men, and this is part 3 today that we're dealing with. And I want to thank you for joining us once more as we deal with these crucial tips that are very, very important for you as a young man. I've said in the past that it is very important that as a young man, you embark on a journey of leadership. You are actually empowered to lead, or some of you are actually having leadership traits already. Some of you are actually learning leadership along the way. So that is the reason why we are embarking on this particular topic, just to give you some tips of how to become a leader as a young man. And today we're dealing with part 3, as I've said now. And I want to just start by speaking about, if you're going to be embarking onto leadership as a young man, the first thing that I want you to look at today is to plan the future. To plan the future. Now, most of the time, we actually live day by day as individuals. But I want to discourage that. And sometimes we dwell on the past, whereby our minds are so boggled up with our history and our experiences in the past that may, as a result, not bring any results in our lives. And that is why most of us are delayed actually by our past, because we harper on it and we remember everything that has happened to us, but we don't dare mind to start planning on the future and say, then what does the future holds for me? And the reason sometimes is because your history and your past is so damning to an extent that you find it difficult to move on from that particular point, whereby you feel like, I cannot move on from here. But I want to urge you as a young man that there's nothing that should stop you from moving on. There's nothing that should stop you from thinking ahead and planning for the future, because even your past cannot hold you back. Because most of the things that we are spending our time on, worried about, are things that may not even come back again in our lives. And that is why I am very adamant about past could be only extracted, whereby you will extract only the positives out of it, use it in the future. But otherwise, the negatives, leave them behind and bury the hatchet and never think back about it and never plan back about it. Because otherwise, our future is holding us at ransom. And majority of us are actually finding it difficult to move on. And I know there are some of you as young men who would say, but maybe you don't understand, because I'm living a life born from a single mother, and I don't have my father, I don't have anybody to mentor me as a young man. This is the reason why we're having Young Men Empowerment Forum. It is actually to mentor you as a young man, to instill some character in you through our teachings, and to make sure that you grow, whether you've got a father that has deserted you long time ago or not. That cannot be a reason for you not to continue and planning for the future. Now, planning for the future is something that's very important. In other words, you need to have a vision, to sit and see the future bright and start planning from that point on. This is the reason why we emphasize as Young Men Empowerment Forum that each one of us should actually remember that we have got a purpose here on earth, and there's no one who was born by mistake. So as a young man, there is a purpose of your life, and of course, that purpose should actually give birth to a vision that would make you to see ahead of you, the vision that will make you to see what is lying ahead, and therefore start planning for it. Now, remember that when you see ahead, you see your vision, you realize what your purpose is all about. It is not just going to happen on its own. It is something that needs to be given consideration, that you plan for it, because nothing happens on its own. And this is very important. And this is where most of us probably fail, whereby we expect the things to happen on themselves, by themselves as well, to an extent that we don't put effort in planning for it. And because planning, what it will help you to do is that you will actually start resourcing the plans. You'll start looking around and say, if I'm planning for this, therefore, what do I need as resources to make sure that I implement that which I've planned? Because plans calls for resources. plans calls for timing as well, so you can actually be able to set your timelines and to make sure that you know exactly from when you're starting the project, you're starting the future, and until when are you actually gonna be finishing your plans. And that's very important. So timing and resources, of course, including human resources, financial resources, and all the resources that are necessary in everything that you do for your future are going to be dependent mainly on your plans. So your plans are very, very important. But I want to emphasize that when we do plans, therefore, you should actually consider writing down those plans. Because without writing down plans, it becomes therefore difficult to implement that which you didn't write down. And most of the people plan in their minds and they don't write the plans down, and then they end up not executing the plans properly because they have not written them down. But I must also emphasize that when you have written down your plans, you are able to delegate tasks to people that would love to help you. Because remember also that we are living in a life where we need others to assist us, to help us to be able to reach to where we need to be in our future. In other words, our futures are not hanging on the thread. They are not hanging alone, separately, without connection with people. We can emphasize this, and I will emphasize this at all times, that we need the people and people need us. So therefore, we need to actually put up plans that will actually involve others. When you've got plans written down, therefore, you are able to delegate tasks to people that would love to help us so that they can be able to know where to help and what to help with. That becomes very key. And I'm emphasizing this because it's a very key point that we need to look at as young men if we have to be successful in life, particularly this particular time. So therefore, plan, please, your future, because without planning the future, you're not going to be able to do well in your life. Now, it is very important as well that you consider transparency, which is highly appreciated. So transparency is highly appreciated. When we speak about transparency, we speak about openness, ability to be open with your plans, to be able to be clear with your plans and be transparent about them. And be transparent about your skills, what you have, and also be transparent about the shortfalls that you might have in your life. Because that will actually help you so that when you've planned the future, when you are transparent enough with yourself, transparent enough with the people around you, everybody would know how to put their hands on the deck. And you yourself will be able to know what to do and what not to do based on the transparency that you have. But I just want to warn at this particular point that sometimes we become too transparent, where we share our dreams and visions as well, and we share our plans to people that are not worthy to see our plans or to hear our plans. And the very same people are the ones that will come up and discourage you about the plans that you put in place or the vision that you have. They will try to discourage you. So in that regard, be careful also who you become transparent to. Be careful who you actually expose your plans to. This is very important because if we just become transparent willy-nilly without calculated understanding of where to become transparent and to whom must I be transparent, you will actually share out your plans to the public that may as well some steal your ideas and use them actually with it and own those without actually acknowledging you. And that becomes very dangerous, particularly if you were to speak about business and you share your business ideas because of the word transparency to each and every one in the world. And wherever you are, you share that to even people that you don't know. For that reason, you're going to run into trouble because you'll end up actually sharing very crucial, important information that you might have needed to keep to yourself until you hatch the result or you hatch the plan. Because if you are actually sharing things much more to everybody and pretty to everybody, so whereby you actually don't calculate who must consume the information of your transparency, that might be detrimental on its own. But also, I must really also emphasize the fact of timing when it comes to transparency, because sometimes we actually become transparent a bit more too soon, And sometimes we become transparent a bit late as well. And depending on the timing, sometimes you may not be able to implement anything into your leadership in your life. So this is very important, therefore, that transparency, as much as it's very key, it is something that you need to consider when and to who and what time as well. And that's very key, because when you start to calculate properly on how you become transparent and to who you become transparent and when, that's the point where you can be able to be transparent at the right time to the right people as well, and that will be beneficiary to you. I want to end up here today, and before I check out, I want you just to be aware of our YouTube channel, Micornus Phokane. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So please also consider liking our Facebook page, Micornus Phokane, and Facebook page, Young Men Empowerment Forum. So please like those and click the notification buttons as well, so that you may be notified of any video that we post, so that you can be able to learn out of these teachings. And I hope that you've gained quite a bit out of this today, and you will have a very blessed day once more. Allow me to check out right here and say cheers for now.